This is Ryan Elliott for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Once again on the channel, Shane McGuigan. Shane, welcome back. Been about a day since we last pressed you for an interview. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Yeah, different location, but same people.
Always. Now, we're here for Ellie Scotney today, so let's start there. Her fourth fight, she's stepping up to face a former world champion. What does that say about the talent of Ellie Scotney that she's already at this stage?
Yeah, she's got bundles of talent, got a good engine. She did 8 rounds in her last fight, and felt comfortable in doing the rounds as well. So it's down to her talent, but also her ambition. She wants to fight for titles. She wants to be in the mix with world champions and big names, and it's up to us to make sure she gets the right fights, the right acid tests, and I believe this is a winnable fight. This girl's gone 10 rounds with Rachel Ball. She was a former and pushed Rachel Ball close as well. Very competitive fight. She did that on 5 days' notice, and she's also a former world champion at super flyweight. So this will be a massive statement if we get the win in her fourth fight.
With Ellie, this is at super bantam, but I was speaking to her before about her ability to do bantamweight if needed. Are you guys still kind of trying to work out where she'll settle ahead of a potential world title push?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, if there's a big marquee name, then we'll go down for it. And if there's a big opportunity, we can go down for it. It would always be nice to be a world champion at one other weight division, but I think her natural weight is probably super bantamweight. It's not like the guys where you can take lots of weight off them, and got to be a bit more careful when it comes to not so much boiling down, but slimming down people, because their performances can be hindered, and they can lose that attribute. So it's definitely comfortable at super bantam, but look, we'll see. As I said, I've said it in multiple interviews that it's more of a skill sport, female boxing. It's not necessarily an attritional sport, and in male boxing, 3 pounds or 4 pounds is a big edge. But it's not so much in female fighting. If you look at Natasha Jonas, she's going to be competing for a light middleweight world title, and she's boxed as low as super featherweight. Amanda Serrano's a 7-weight world champion. So if you're good enough, you're big enough, and I think Ellie's definitely got that mantra.
If Ellie is successful and she goes the rounds as someone who's done championship rounds, she's been a world champion, is she right there now knocking on that door, ready for a world title this year?
Definitely. I think if it's not the next one, it'll be the one after. And we've just got to see. Look, Jamie Mitchell beat Shannon Courtney. That's a fight that we would love. She looked great in her performance last weekend, stopping her opponent. So very, very tough fight. But that's the sort of challenges that I think Ellie wants to chuck herself in against. And also I believe that would be a great fight, because I think that was. She won quite comfortably against Shannon Courtney, but I think Ellie would be able to beat Jamie Mitchell. So that's a fight that we could potentially be targeting. But look, we just got to keep winning. Got to keep her on the straight and narrow. Keep making sure that she's improving all the time. And I know it's only a matter of time. She's only 23 years of age. These fights are going to be out there now on the horizon. It's just now it's about performing, building the brand, making sure you can do the rounds, and keep concentration and look good doing so.
Before we come on to the rest of the stable, I just want to touch on the main event, Jacobs-Ryder this weekend. Who do you give the edge to and why?
I am a massive fan of John Ryder. Me and him, we won the novices together back in 2006 or 7 or something. So he's a great guy, but you've got to go with Danny Jacobs. His losses have been with the creme de la creme, the elite fighters. He's been in there, mixed it with everybody. He's an unbelievable fighter. He's overcome so many things, his cancer, operations on his back, and he's still. I know you can't, as he said up there on the top table, you can't base someone's career off a flat night. Many fighters have had flat nights when he had one against Rosado. Didn't look anywhere near at the races, but he's very motivated, and that I believe is going to be a telling factor. Look, John Ryder, you can never underestimate him. He gave a great. He arguably beat Billam-Smith. He's had some great wins. He's really coming into form ever since he's moved up to super middleweight. He's a handful for anyone, because he's tough. He can fight in close, and he can apply pressure and sustain a good work rate. And he's just got better. Him and Tony Sims have just got better. Gradually, let's not forget he's the guy that got stopped by Nick Blackwell. But he's a completely different fighter. So massive credit to Tony Sims. But I just think this is a fight that's a step too far. I don't believe he's going to get embarrassed. I think he's going to give a good account of himself and make it a close fight. But I think there's only one winner, and that's Danny Jacobs.
Well, speaking of Chris Billam-Smith before, he tells me that he's looking at me back out on the Conor Benn card in April. Is the Turchi fight the plan?
Turchi fight is the one that we want. It's the one that we've vacated the British title because we had an agreement with the EBU that we were fighting Turchi and defending our title against him. But I know that there's people trying to make the Riakporhe versus Turchi fight, and look, I think it's down to Eddie for him to secure that for us. We've given up a British title. We could have easily boxed Mikel Lawal. He'd sparred him multiple times. That would have been an easy fight for Chris, and probably a decent payday at that. But it was more sentimental for us to get hold of it and continue to hold the European, because it gives you a better ranking worldwide. So it's down to them to deliver it. We're going to hopefully be out on the Conor Benn undercard. I think it's changed because of the Fury versus White fight date. So I think it'll be mid-April sometime. So that's the fight we're sort of looking towards. But he's just been doing plenty of sparring with Lawrence Okoli, because quite similar to Seslak's style. We've had David Nika and Chris Billam-Smith in for that sparring. So it's been perfect prep.
You were in Cardiff last week. We didn't catch you after the main event. Chris Eubank Jr., Liam Williams. What do you make of Chris's performance?
I thought it was a good performance, very sharp early on, and then he went to sleep. I don't think that was to do with... I think he genuinely... everyone says, he could, if he wanted to get him out of there, he could have got him out of there. I think there is an element of that. I don't think he's training to go through the gears at the moment. I don't think he's going into having these hard spars, but he looked sharp. He looked sharp early on. He had good judgment of distance. But you got to understand that Liam Williams his best wins aren't marquee names, And I said it before when people asked me who I thought would win, and I just said, it's down to people. It's down to who those two boxers are mixed with. And Liam Williams' losses were against Liam Smith and Demetrius Andrade, and he was well beat on all of them. Whereas Eubank pushed his losses close. He pushed Billy Joe Saunders. The only one he was well beat on was the Groves one, and the fact that George dislocated his shoulder in the last round, which nearly gave me a heart attack. But it was still made it not question marks, but it still made it look like a more competitive fight. But everybody else, he beat James DeGale. He beat Korobov, even though that was an injury. But he's still got big wins under his belt, and that's why I said, I believe that there was only going to be one winner. And he was cruising. He was cruising in that fight, and it was not a competitive fight.
Post-fight, all the talk suddenly became Ben Eubank being reignited. Thoughts?
Well, I don't see there being a catchweight. You can look at Chris Eubank's frame and size. There's no way he's getting down to light middleweight. Even if they did it at 156, still probably not going to be agreed. He might agree to it and then just weigh in at middleweight. So it's a bit far-fetched, but at the same time, you would never have thought someone like Manny Pacquiao would have been boxing Joshua Clottey or Antonio Margarito. And do you know what I mean? These huge. 5 years before or 6 years before, you would never, you would say never. But Conor Benn's not silly. He understands the game. He knows that it would hinder him massively to get him down on weight. And I think there'll be far too many obstacles to overcome. Different platforms, different promoters that clearly don't like each other. Networks don't really like each other. Fathers don't really like each other, and fighters don't really like each other. So I don't see that getting made anytime soon. But it's a great story.
Last one before I let you go, Shane. We've been waiting on Canelo Alvarez news. It now looks like he's close to agreeing a deal with DAZN to fight Bivol and then Golovkin in a trilogy. The other option coming from PBC was the Charlo fight. Which would you like to see him take up next, and why?
think the Charlo fight is a more marquee fight in terms of, people know Charlo a lot more. I think also it's an easier fight for Canelo. I think Bivol's got great feet. He's got a good boxing brain. He's quick. I think if I was Canelo, I'd be leaning more towards the Charlo fight because it's an easier fight and you're probably going to get more eyes and attention on it. But either one is a great fight. Is it going to be competitive? Yes, Bivol definitely. The Golovkin return and the trilogy, I don't believe is going to be competitive. I think Golovkin's days are well gone. His inactivity as well is not ideal, and it's just one of them ones that you think it's going to be a one-sided fight, and he probably stops Golovkin afterwards. But Golovkin's obviously going to take that because there's going to be huge money in it. But it's not the same guy that boxed him the first time. But yeah, so. Let's see what comes up. But I think Canelo's on massive form at the moment, and he's the one that people want to box, and he's the one that the platforms want to get. So it'll be interesting to see if DAZN gets him, and if they do, congratulations to him.
Shane, thank you for speaking at Boxing Social. Enjoy Ellie Pally on Saturdays. Chris keeps calling it.